Hey guys, Louis Dangle here from Give Me Sport, and I'm joined by two very special guests. Of course, they are FTR. Guys, it's been a long time since we last spoke. Dax, Cash, guys, how are you doing?
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I
can't complain.
think if you've seen national TV over the last 10 months, I think you'd say we've been doing pretty well.
Yeah, man. You can't complain at all. A little sore, a little tired today. We had a show in North Carolina yesterday that we did because there was a bunch of people that are close to us that we wanted to kind of be around and see and catch up with. So we got to have a really fun show yesterday. See a lot of old friends. So I'm a little sore today, a little tired today, but man, it's been a hell of a year.
Yeah, it really has been. And obviously, a lot of it has been you guys together. Some of it has even been you guys as separate people. But I wanted to speak kind of about the work you guys have been doing at the moment. Obviously, you are the AAA Tag Team Champions. You're the IWGP Tag Team Champions. You're also the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. And this weekend at All Out, you go head-to-head with Motor City Machine Guns and Jay Lethal teaming with Wardlow. It's been a huge couple of months for you guys, huge year or so for you guys. And it feels like you guys are really coming into your own now within AEW. Is that a feeling you guys have felt? Do you feel that perhaps this year has been the year where you guys have really found your own? I guess, Cash, we'll start with you for that one.
Yeah, I do. And I think a lot of it's just been, like you said, the work we've put in, not just this year, but in the past, that people really just started appreciating. And we've been, I would say, like, not to sound super conceited, not to Barry Horowitz it, but we've been so good at being bad for so long that people just really started to understand, like, oh, these guys are purposely trying to make us dislike them. They're purposely trying to make themselves look lesser than so their opponents look better. So, like, I think it's just one of those things where the fans are a lot smarter than they get credit for sometimes. Not even just the ones that think they're smart, but just the fans, the general fan in the audience that doesn't go on Twitter to get everything. Like, they're smart and they appreciate stuff like that. And they, organically started just kind of turning us and cheering us. And we're like, do we fight this or do we go with it? And we had kind of, touched on it a little bit throughout the months leading up to it. We're like, I think we just run with it completely. And man, like, it's crazy because now you get to kind of be a little more open, a little more yourself, a little more inviting. Like, you don't have to try to be the stone-faced asshole. You can smile, you can have fun. People see that, and people know when it's genuine, and they have fun with you. So it's been crazy, but I've loved every bit of it.
Yeah, I think like the first 2 years of AEW, and it's going to be the headline that Dax was bitter about the first 2 years. Not the case. That AEW obviously still a brand new company in a transition period because we were coming, from full arenas to the pandemic crowd and then back into full arenas. So it's a huge transition. And I think coming in, even though we did get the tag team titles, I think that we kind of got lost in the shuffle. Like, the first story we had here was we were just a backdrop to the Hangman, Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega story, and then we dropped the belts to the Young Bucks, and we really had nothing until the Pinnacle stuff. And the Pinnacle stuff, again, started off hot, but then Cash and I became a backdrop to the MJF and Chris Jericho story. And that's, you're going to be a role player, and that's going to happen. Sometimes you're up here and sometimes you're down there. And then at this time we were just down there for a couple of years. But now, like Cash said, we just felt the groundswell of people who respected us, and they didn't want to boo us, because they're like, man, we respect him, but we're supposed to, so we got kind of like that middle reaction. And telling him, I said, man, I think it's time for us to try this out. And we were like, yeah, let's roll with it. And so when we figured that out, we consciously started implementing things story-wise into our matches, to the singles matches and into the tag matches, where we could garner sympathy. Instead of having just a great match where people would consider it a 5-star match or whatever, we started doing things consciously to garner sympathy and let the people know, hey, we're inviting you in, come party with us now. So that it's been a cool year.
I mean, yeah, I would have been one of those people. I'm sure you guys saw it online, being like, "There's no way. I just can't see it working as faces." But I think it's mainly. I'm sure you guys both noticed it, but it's mainly because of how good you guys were at getting people to hate you. And I think that it was like, okay, how is that going to work? And was it something you guys not struggled with, but were there times you were doing things because of just, I guess, muscle memory of for years being kind of wanting the crowds to hate you? Were you guys going out there doing things and then maybe coming back and being like, oh, we shouldn't be doing that anymore? Was it a conscious decision or did it just come quite naturally?
So, like you were saying, we when we started to like feel like and listen to the crowd and understand, like, I think to kind of preface this, I think it kind of starts when you've just been seen for so long by them. Like they get used to, like, they understand you, they know you. Like once you've been on TV for as long as we have at this point, like a couple of years with WWE and then a couple of years here, like the crowd just invests in you more. Like you're part of like their experience now. Like they really get to like care about you. It's like once they started like cheering us more than booing us, I think once we decided not to like keep trying to turn it away, it was kind of easy for us to cut out those things, because we would always like purposely think about the ways to maximize getting hatred or heat or whatever. So then we would start purposely trying to think of ways to just not maximize that stuff. We just wouldn't go the extra step. If there was a chance to cheat here and there, we wouldn't do it like we normally would, because we understood like we can still be assholes without being over the top bad guys. And so we started purposely, consciously cutting out stuff here and there. And I don't think that part was that difficult for us. But if you saw me smile when Dax was talking about it, like, it's because I never envisioned us turning into good guys. Like I never thought about it. So like when it first was discussed, I was like, man, this is going to be weird. Mm-hmm. And I never would have expected it to work like it did. So that's the thing for me. I was going to be a career bad guy. That was just not even a second thought in my head about it. And then when it started to become a thing, I was like, this is going to be awkward, but it's been amazing.
Yeah, I think AEW gave us the platform to finally, eventually, at the end of 2021, be human beings and show not our vulnerable side, but showed our human side and who we were. And I think for so long, the fans. So in 2016, they had the ultimate respect for us, and we were considered maybe the best tag team in the world. They saw that and they jumped on for the ride with that, and they loved that. But then, we went to the main roster, and I think for those 2.5 years or whatever we were there, they felt sorry for us. And they had sympathy for us. And then we came to AEW, and we came in a pretty cool way with the all things considered pandemic wise, but I think they still had the sympathy for us because they didn't feel, whether it's right or wrong, they didn't feel maybe AEW was using FTR to the best of their abilities or to the fullest potential, maybe. And so they had more sympathy for us. And then like I said earlier about the stuff with the Pinnacle, and they're like, come on, but we got to have these matches. We got to let these guys do something. And then finally, like I said, we got to show our human side, and they're like, fuck it, we're coming along for the ride, and we're going to join in. And there was a conscious moment in the Punk matches that I had where I went to cheat and like pull his nose, and like I took a step back and decided not to. And then at the end, I knew I wanted to give up. I wanted to break their hearts, but me tapping out to the Anaconda Ice. But the most important thing was I wanted the cameras to get a shot of me in the corner, up on my side, like showing disappointment. Like, man, this is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I hung with him, and I almost beat him, but I didn't. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed because they can't understand Anaconda Vice, and they can't understand hip toss. They can't understand slingshot powerbomb, but they can't understand frustration and disappointment. And I think they felt that disappointment with me, within myself, because we've all been disappointed in ourselves. And I think that was the catalyst for the big turn there.
And I think that, Cash, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to speak a little bit about Solo Man Dax here, because a lot of people, when
Wrestler of the Year, dude.
I was going to say, a lot of people getting their kind of early Wrestler of the Year shouts in, they are putting you in that bracket, Dax. And I think it is testament to the matches you've had both alongside Cash, against Cash, and then on your own. How does it fit? Do you feel in that bracket of Wrestler of the Year when people throw that out there? I know I agree, and I know for sure Cash is going to agree. But when people say Dax Harwood 2022 Wrestler of the Year, do you agree?
Man, that gives me goosebumps now that people think that and feel that about me. Just a little 5'10", chubby North Carolina guy that people think that, and because wrestling is all I've ever wanted to do in my life, up until the point that I married my wife and we had our daughter. Like, wrestling, aside from my faith, was number one. And so to be in that conversation is awesome. I think, patting myself on the back, I think given the parameters that I've been given, that we've been given, because speaking bluntly, we're not able to say, hey, Tony, this is the match we want. Hey, Tony, we want this match this week, this match next week, this match next week. And we also want 18 minutes for this match. And then we want 22 minutes for this match. That's some guys in AEW and WWE as well are allowed to do that because they have that equity built up, especially the singles guy. But we didn't. We don't have that. And plus, we don't care to do that. So given the parameters we were given, so they say FTR or Dax, this is what you're doing this week, and this is the time you have. Right. Okay. I know that. And now I'm going to try to make it the best. I'm going to maximize the minutes instead of saying, no, I have to have this. So I think me not being able to say, give me this, and me saying, okay, give me what you want, and let me work in those parameters. I think maybe, I have a legit argument for Wrestler of the Year. And to expound just a little bit more, the match with Will Ospreay went 13 minutes or something, right? Or 14 minutes. The match with Adam Cole, same thing. The match with Cash went maybe 15 minutes. The match with Punk went like 11 minutes. Those were the parameters we were allowed to work in. And so if you're given those parameters and you're not able to say, no, I want the main event match and I want 30 minutes, and you're able to shine, then I think that's the professional. That shows you're a professional. But on top of all those singles matches, I think I'm the most proud of our tag team work this year. The match with the Bucks, it was so emotional after that match because it was so beautiful. And we got to rectify everything for the past year and a half that we had done in that match. And 5 days before, the Briscoes match, and then another Briscoes match. I'm just so proud of the work that we've done this year.
Cash, and I wanted to ask you that, kind of, how's it been to both be Dax's partner in those matches that he speaks of, but also to sit on the sidelines and watch him flourish in his singles role?
I've tried telling everybody, same as him, that he's the best wrestler in the world for years. It's just when you aren't selfish and you aren't a guy that goes out there and just tries to shine for yourself, you kind of, you hold yourself back a little bit. You purposely don't show how good you are so you can show how good other people are. Especially, we were the bad guys. That was our job. And we take a lot of pride in that. I take way more pride in people thinking that I'm boring, or people thinking that I can't do anything, but thinking that our opponents just had the match of their lives by themselves. Like, I take more pride in that than I do anybody saying, man, these guys are just going out there and killing it every single night. Because as bad guys, we shouldn't be getting that praise. Like, overall, like, the matches would, but not all the time would it be like, these guys did so cool. Usually it's like, man, these guys are so boring, but their opponents had a great match against them. Oh, awkward. But now that, as the good guys, you get that moment to shine. That's what a good guy does. Like, they get the adulation, they get the moments to have the triumph. And so now, you've gotten to see, like, we've had some really great tag matches this year, like unreal, probably some of my favorites that I'll ever have. I don't know if we'll ever have another year like that touches this as far as just quality and quantity of work that we've been able to do. But now that he's done some single stuff, especially as the good guy, and like you said, he can get the sympathy, he can show the emotion, he can let people care about him. And he also gets to show off a little bit more about what he can and can't do. And that opens eyes to people. But yeah, he's got a legitimate chance at Wrestler of the Year because he is the Wrestler of the Year. And he doesn't need a lot of gimmicks and a lot of razzle dazzle from everything else around it. He can just have a great wrestling match and be Wrestler of the Year.
I can be bald and boring.
Listen, Wrestler of the Year, I think anyone that has watched your body of work if someone said that, you wouldn't get laughed out of the room. And it has been a pleasure to see. I wanted to ask briefly about the match you guys had together. Again, speaking of things that we didn't expect to happen in 2022, Dax on one side of the ring, Cash on the other, sharing the ring. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be off base with this. It felt like that match would only have happened had it been in the Owen Hart tournament. And was that something that came from you guys? Did you guys pitch it? Was it pitched to you guys? And how did kind of the Owen part of it play into it happening?
So we've always wanted to have like a friendly, competitive match, just because, again, wrestling is the name of the game, right? Like there doesn't have to be any animosity when it's just a good, straight up back and forth wrestling match. It's just, an actual sport competition. So like, I know how good he is and I want to test myself against that. I want to raise my game. I want him to make me set myself up and like make me better. It's like, I would be stupid not to want to work anybody as good as him. It's like the first time we ever wrestled was our tryout, or not a tryout, an extra spot where he got a tryout, got signed. And, I was already, Regal was helping me out a lot. So I knew like eventually I would hopefully get the tryout. And we started that day talking about being a tag team, even though we just wrestled each other. And so we never got the chance to wrestle each other again, but we always wanted to find a way, if it made sense. As soon as we heard about the Owen, we got on the group chat and we're like, hey, I know there's probably going to be a lot of stuff that needs to happen in this, but if there's some way, I'd love for us to have this one-on-one. And, it's something that people ask us a lot now. Like they bring it up, like we did a meet and greet yesterday. And it's one of the questions we get asked the most, like, how was that? Or would you guys ever do it again? And I said, the only way we're going to run it back this time is if it's in the finals of the Owen, not a qualifier. It's the finals.
Yeah. For me, that was a very emotional night because it was a full circle night for us. Like you said, we met and we had known about each other and we'd actually talked through Facebook and stuff back in the North Carolina days. But we met at that tryout and we immediately had a friendship. Like it was almost like love at first sight kind of thing. And they put us together. Regal put us together in a match. We called it all in the ring. And there was just magic there. And so, yeah, we asked Tony, hey, this is the perfect opportunity. We've looked to work with each other. If there is a chance, could we please have this match in the Owen? And he wasn't sold on it. And so, we'd let a couple of weeks go by because, the Owen was announced months and months and months before. We'd let a couple of weeks go by and we just say, hey, Tony, just wanted to remind you, if there is an opportunity, we'd love to wrestle each other. This means a lot to us. And if not, no big deal. And he, again, wasn't sold. And then I guess we just finally asked enough. And he said, okay, we won't do it in the tournament, but it'll be a qualifier. And I think the two things that I'm most proud of in that match is, one, when people talk about the Owen Hart tournament, that's the match they talk about the most, is he and I. Yeah. Even though it wasn't a tournament match, they forget that. And this is the match they talk about the most. The second thing I'm most proud of is we went in there and we said, look, we can go in there and have what the journalists would call a 5-star match if we wanted to, easily, And I say that with as much humility as I possibly can. We could have done.
We could have.
Yes, absolutely. But our one goal was to tell the story of two friends having an athletic competition. We consciously didn't want to shake hands at the beginning, because if we did shake hands, then all the doubt of
the what ifs.
Yeah, what if they are mad at each other? Erase, And so we wanted to paint this picture very slowly. We wanted to tell this story very slowly. And like the accident.
Got to subtract 1 star for storytelling, though. Sorry.
The accidental thumb to the eye. Like that's happened a million times when guys have played basketball and an elbow gets caught in the chin, and it's like, dude, you didn't have to fucking foul me, and then your French, the argument escalates from there. And that's wanted this to be the escalation. And then we wanted everything we did on the back end to just sell. We just wanted to sell, and that's it. Because again, we knew at the end of this match, make people feel sympathy for me that I had to beat my friend, but sympathy for him too, because he didn't beat me.
Yeah.
And that was the whole premise of that match, was to tell that story, make them care about us more than having a 5-star match, And so those are the two things I'm the most proud of for that.
And like at the end of it, I wanted to make sure that people knew that I wasn't even mad. Like it's like just the moment where he gets the 3, and I'm just like, man, he got me. Like that's what it is. He got me. Like, you know, it's one of those things where you want to test yourself, you want to push yourself, but in the end, like, you know, you get caught, and it's not even something where I'm like, son of a bitch. It's just like, oh yeah, I got into it. It's like I didn't even want there to be any animosity towards that. I wanted to show that immediately. It's like, son of a bitch. All right. So I didn't ever want to plant a seed that there would be any lingering dissension after that, because there isn't, and there never will be.
Of course, and I mean it was as you guys mentioned, a fantastic match, and one that, like you said before, I was obviously doing some research for the interview. When I again was just looking through that match and doing research on it, forgot it was a qualifier, because you just forget it. You just, again, it's that match that people think of. But I wanted to, before we get into talking about All Out, you guys facing Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns, I wanted to briefly touch on a report that was made last night about you guys being left out, removed, whatever the verbiage is, from the AEW video game. I just kind of wanted to get from your perspective any validity to kind of those claims, your guys' thoughts on it, if you are able and willing to kind of speak on it.
Yeah, so like for us, the only real issue was we were kind of blindsided by it. Like we found out like not how you would expect. So we just, and when you find out something like that, like something major, like you're being taken out of a video game, your mind automatically assumes the worst. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was like, is this something we need to worry about? Should we read between the lines here? Is there like, were we not told for a reason? And now that we are aware, and now that we are out, what is that reason? Is it something we should worry about? We got an answer. It made a lot of sense. Very logical answer. We said, oh, okay, cool. As long as we don't have to worry about it, non-issue. And that's what it was. We've known about it since May, June.
Oh, way before that.
Yeah, I don't know how long at this point, but for months. Like the fact that it came out yesterday, I had no idea why. We were at a show in North Carolina. I woke up, got coffee, seminar, meet and greet, show, flight from Charlotte. So like I had my phone on me maybe 2 or 3 times yesterday at most. Had no idea what was going on until I got back to Charlotte, and I'm dropping my rental car off, and I just see that shit hit the fan basically. And I was like, oh, wonder what happened here. Why did this finally get out? But don't know exactly what happened yesterday. Don't know why it just now became a headline, but we've known about it for a while. We've got answers on it a while ago, and for us, it's not even been an issue or thought about. So yesterday was like just the weirdest day for us.
Yeah, and so the headline from you, Louis, could be, I don't know if it'll get as many clicks as a bad headline, but FTR is not upset about being FTR not blame anyone for pulling us out of the game. Like Cash said, man, we heard about this, I want to say maybe March. It was very long. It was before the Briscoes match. And we heard about it a long time ago. And when we heard, I had someone message me and say, one of the journalists messaged me and say, is this true? And I thought, I didn't respond to him. The first thing I did was text Cash, obviously, and say, have you heard anything about this? No, let's text Tony and find out. We text Tony. We went through the right chain of commands. We text Tony, talked to him. We text legal, legal texted us, and we talked with them for a bit. We got our answer, and it was a non-issue. Like Cash said, we just wanted to make sure we weren't doing something wrong. And if there's something to correct that, let us know. We got it. Then months later, last night, this article comes up, which I couldn't believe it didn't come out in March or whenever it was, it came out last night, and it just blindsided both of us. And so, no, we're not, I don't care to be in the video game. I don't care. My worry is leaving a legacy, having fun with my best friend. And on top of all that, taking care of Maria and Finley. That's all.
It must be, although kind of you guys mentioned you don't care, and obviously that is good to hear, but it must be nice for you guys to log on to Twitter and see people generally upset about it in a way. Not that you want people to be upset, but that means people care enough about you that they think it's a problem. Is that kind of, I guess, a silver lining to all of this?
Yes and no. Like, it's awesome to know that people care about it that much, but to see like the side that does and the side that doesn't going back and forth, and like having all this unnecessary blame, and like, you know, like talking really, really poorly about one side or really, really poorly about the other side, when really it should just be, again, a non-issue. I love that they're upset about it, like as far as like they care about us, but I really hate like just the toxic environment it creates between people fighting over it, because it really like isn't an issue, and it hasn't been. Like I said, the only thing that worried us is if there was a very bad reason as to why we were being taken out.
Yeah.
And when you get an explanation that makes a ton of sense, you don't worry about it anymore, because you've got the answer and it's not one you have to sweat.
Yeah.
So it's cool they care about us, but I hate that it has to come at the expense of people fighting too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, it really was very cool. And I'll tell you this, because I've told a lot of people this about us turning babyface. For so long in my life, before my wife, I didn't feel like very many people, I didn't feel loved, you know, all the time. And as corny as that sounds, I don't think I knew exactly what the feeling of real love was, because I'd never felt it. You know, I had best friends, and I had a great mom and dad. And I do have a great mom and dad still, but my dad was a hard ass. And so he's apologized since I've had my daughter, but he was a hard ass, and never really showed me that kind of love and affection. My mom was working all the time too, so we never really got to connect. I mean, we were together, but we never got to connect. So I don't think for so long that I knew what real love was. And then when we turned babyface, I found out, like, you know, I got real love from the fans, and that was the coolest thing to me. So I'm embracing this babyface turn. And I don't care if that's corny or you know, or whatever, but to log on and see so many people upset because we've been pulled out, I can't lie. Like, it made me feel good. I'm like, okay, that's love, man.
Yeah, but if it helps like kind of settle things, thank you for caring about us, but please don't be upset for us. Like, it's not an issue, and there'll be a chance to use us anyway. So thank you, but please stop fighting.
but please tell me how much you love me, because I love you.
That's fine. Yeah, put us over all you want, but stop hating everything. Please,
Awesome.
just
We agree.
can't we all just get along?
So we want to talk about All Out. Obviously, you guys are facing Motor City Machine Guns. Dream match there. Jay Lethal as well, who, again, one of the most underrated guys out there, teaming with Wardlow once again, Pinnacle reuniting. This has got to be one, particularly with the Motor City Machine Guns, not taking anything away from Lethal and Wardlow, but mixing it up with them has got to be something kind of that's been high up on your list for a while, and to do it on pay-per-view has got to be just incredibly cool.
Yeah. We've wanted to work with these guys for years. I mean, at one point in professional wrestling, they were considered the best tag team in the world. And so to be able to, I've said this before, one of the things that we're most proud of is the diverse group of tag teams that we've worked with. You know, we've worked with the best tag teams in the world. I'm talking about Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, the Hardy Boys, the Young Bucks, Santana and Ortiz, the Usos, American Alpha, DIY, all the way up to even Hangman and Adam Page. We've worked with the Briscoes. God, I can't forget those. We've worked with the best tag teams of our generation. And to cap it off, we have to work with Motor City Machine. We have to wrestle them. And we have to, if we can wrestle them and, you know, eventually, hopefully move on to a straight tag team match. If we can wrestle them, and put on the showing of a lifetime, then maybe we can say, hey, we're the greatest tag team ever. So it's very important.
Yeah, like, and we've talked about it before, but Wardlow is one of our best friends in wrestling at this point. Like, we've gotten really close to him, like, especially the past year or so, and we see how good of a person he is. So getting to tag with him and do this stuff with him now, like going from the Pinnacle, which started out really cool and then, didn't really hit what we hoped it would hit. But like, to go from that to all three, the kind of beloved guys and all champions, that's a really cool, like, full circle moment for us. Jay Lethal is a guy I've wanted to work with for a long time. He's still so young. You forget how young he was when he started. It's like I've seen him in Ring of Honor for years and years and years before I was ever able to say I've accomplished anything in wrestling. And he was a guy I'm like, man, I want to get to that level. So now I get to work with that guy on that level, and he's still so good. Like, him and Dax just tore it up Wednesday. And like Jay is just so naturally good and smooth. Can't wait for that. But above all else, like you were saying, like Motor City, that's something that we didn't think was going to ever happen because both guys were gone for a while. They weren't a tag team even when they like were active. Like Shelly went and got his degrees and was doing stuff outside. Saban had some injuries and was just working backstage. So like 2022 for this moment to be like actually possible, that's something like we've talked about ad nauseum, is that we wanted to do stuff that we cared about and made like us happy. And this was one of those things that, Motor City is the top of that list right now. We've got to do the Briscoe stuff. We've got to do a bunch of really cool stuff. So there's like a short list of things I still want to do. And at the top of the short list is Motor City Machine Guns versus FTR. So having this little taste is going to be amazing. But more than anything, I hope that it leads to a series of us just getting to work each other and, like the best of 7. I don't care, every couple of months for the next couple of years until one side of us decides to hang it up. But I'm really excited about working with those guys.
And this final question, I almost don't want to ask because I don't want to take anything away from the match this weekend, which a lot of people are looking forward to. But a lot of people, myself included, when things were starting to fall into place around June, July time, thought, okay, you guys are winning all the belts. Young Bucks have got their belts. Looks like that's going to be the direction. You guys were ranked very highly in the rankings for the tag team. A lot of people thought, okay, that is something that, and with AEW, a lot of the booking does make sense, and in that way can kind of be predicted sometimes. It's like, okay, that looks like that's the direction, and then that wasn't the direction. Obviously, Kenny's come back, and he's busy with the Bucks now. You guys are working with Wardlow and Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. So, from you, was that the match you were expecting? Were you told early out that wouldn't be the match? Kind of wanted to gauge your guys' perspective on the chatter around kind of and fans speculating that was going to be what we saw.
So personally, like I'm very happy with this match Sunday that we're going to have, but I thought that was the direction to go, us versus the Young Bucks for all the marbles, as they say.
Yeah.
I think the way things lined up kind of naturally, like as far as like there was no plan in place, like, and it just kind of, a lot of things happened that changed the title scene. A lot of things happened that kind of like our babyface turn wasn't something that, we had thought about like or planned far out in advance. So when it started happening, we're just kind of riding the wave with it, trying to figure it out as we go. So like the fact that it was kind of all culminating at the same time and leading to what I thought would have been the perfect build to it, because it was just, all these outside forces kind of setting it up. I would have loved that. I think it's what, would have been a huge money match for as far as tag team wrestling goes, as far as whatever you consider a money match for tag team wrestling these days. But I understand there's a lot of injuries that happen. There's a lot of moving parts in the wrestling business, and it's not easy kind of getting everything to go. But no, we weren't told far out that it wasn't happening. I wish, everything could have worked out the way we envisioned. But again, I'm very happy with how Sunday's set up right now and like the potential for what it leads to afterwards with Motor City. So, I mean, very happy right now, but I wish we could have had that match. Yeah.
I think we expected that, and we as performers and individuals and a tag team thought that was the right way to go.
Told that.
And I'm saying this without any ego. I hope no one gets that, but I think it could have been at least built as the biggest tag team match of all time.
Yeah. 4
world championships on the line. The 2 best tag teams of a generation going going 2-on-2, I guess, in at a pay-per-view, a big pay-per-view in Chicago. It could have been built as the biggest tag match of all time. I think our problem was we just expected that to happen. We expected how hot that we've gotten and how much heat those guys were getting. I mean, man, they were chanting FTR during their promo, just a few weeks ago, which could have got us in a little trouble. Who knows? But, I think that we thought the course could have changed. And so for a couple of weeks, we were like, man, that's what it should be. It should be that. But then we both started talking. We both started thinking over this last year, we've allowed everything just to align itself. and allow things, the universe or God or whatever you believe, to put things in place for us. And it has, and it's worked out well. Let's just sit back and let it take place. And even though we didn't get the tag team match with the Young Bucks, I mean, regardless of what we feel about them personally, you always want to work with a team that's as talented as them.
Cool.
A team that is going to produce, like Cash said, a money match. But allowing the pieces to fall in place, now on live pay-per-view, we get to team with one of our very, very good friends, Wardlow, and we get to work with someone, like Cash said, as talented and as effortlessly talented as Jay Lethal. And on top of that, we get to work with guys that we've looked to work with for years and years and years in the Motor City Machine Guns. So even though we didn't get what we expected or what we thought was going to happen, man, this is a hell of a consolation prize.
And just real quick, sorry, Louis, I'll just say, like, having 3 championships for 3 different promotions and having to coordinate our AEW schedule to go with AAA and Ring of Honors pay-per-views and some New Japan stuff, like, it's not easy. So, like, adding a 4th title and having to worry about not neglecting somebody somewhere as far as, like, getting there for a defense, or having, like, if they want to have us on Triple Mania for AAA, like, not being able to because there's something we got to do otherwise, or if we have to go to Japan for this, like, it's not easy. Like, there's so many companies involved and so many different things that have to align. Like, would have been great. I think it could have happened, but at the same time, Swerve and Lee are holding it down and they're doing a great job. Yeah. Like, it's cool seeing, like, new faces in the tag team division, and they've done a great job working with, like, their dynamic and making it something that's, like, very compelling. And it's cool seeing younger teams that are, especially homegrown talents like Ass Boys and the Acclaim, getting chances to step up. So, like, the Acclaim getting a title shot, like, on a pay-per-view, that's huge. That's a cool thing for them, and it's going to help elevate them. And they're young, so young. Same with Colton and Austin. They're so young. So, like, they need to start having these moments where they get to be elevated in the eyes of our audience, and they are, and they're stepping up to that. And hopefully they knock it out of the park, because that's just going to be one more step in their evolution to a long-time hopeful stalwarts of the AEW tag division.
Yeah, as a tag team connoisseur, I'm very proud of the work that Swerve and Lee have done, especially given the perimeters they've had. Man, they've done a hell of a job, and I think the tag team division's in good hands with those guys.
And I think that says a lot about you two. The fact that the one way you wanted to end this interview was speaking about the other tag teams that are doing great work within AEW. And I hope people can realize, and getting to know you guys over the last couple of years when we've done these interviews, it's clear how much you guys care about not only what you guys are doing and the work you're producing, but tag team wrestling as a whole within the promotion that you work for. And I think that is just a real testament to you guys. So again, I just want to conclude by saying, this match on Sunday is going to be huge. And I think that, like many people, it could be one of those ones that people go in thinking, oh, yeah, that'll be good, and ends up being one that steals the show. So this Sunday on pay-per-view, Wardlow and FTR versus Jay Lethal and Motor City Machine Guns. I'll put all the links to how you can buy the show and keep up with everything. Obviously, you've got Dynamite on Wednesday, where we'll be seeing kind of the final step on the road to All Out. But again, guys, thank you so much for taking the time today. But before I let you go, anything you kind of want to draw people's attention to and plug beyond kind of All Out and Dynamite?
Yeah, we're going to be in London for New Japan at the beginning of October. So, Louis, we got to have that drink we've been talking about for a couple of years.
We were. I'll see if I can keep up with you guys. I don't know if I will, but we'll give it a go.
You'd be surprised how light of weights we are.
Yeah. The whole
tequila is just for post-match celebration sometimes.
It's the gimmick, brother.
Of course. Whatever. The stories I'll tell will be that you guys were carrying me home. But
now coffee, I'll drink you under the table.
That I have no doubt. But guys, yes, again, that London show going to be awesome to have you guys over here. I'll put links to that as well in the description of this video. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time today. An absolute pleasure. And I'm looking forward to seeing you both kill it on Sunday night.
All right,
Louis. Thank you, man. Be careful out there on Twitter. I hope you don't get cash.